look at the nature of Embiid's injuries. Embiid, knee. Everyone knows that's why he fell in the draft. But the knee bone's connected to the backbone, and that's what I would worry about with Embiid. The answer is Embiid is
to the neck bone.
That's right. And that's what I'd be worried. I'm more worried about Embiid's health than Wentz's.
Max Kellerman, let me tell you something, bro. You know something, Max? You just need to turn in your SAFTA card or whatever it is, bro. You don't show up in Philadelphia after those comments this morning. I mean, all those rocket movies that you've been doing, you just need to get the hell away. Don't show up back in Philadelphia now, because evidently you don't know that town. They don't give a damn about Joel Embiid when it comes to football. Football is king in Philadelphia. I'm not saying he doesn't matter, but trust you me, if they had to sit up there and say, excuse me, we want a healthy Carson Wentz that's going to be healthy, he's going to be balling, he's going to be eligible to play in the playoffs because he's healthy, he's ready to go, and they had to sacrifice Embiid, they do it every single day of the week and twice on Saturday and Sunday. That's Philadelphia, because they bleed Eagles. It's all about the Eagles. It's not to say the Sixers don't matter, but not in comparison to the Philadelphia Eagles. Joel Embiid definitely is chronic. You got a point there. They got to monitor that health, et cetera, et cetera. But they just saw him. They just saw him play in the playoffs. They just saw him cry his way off the court in the playoffs, okay? In the case of Carson Wentz, they wish he was on the field to cry himself off. They ain't seen him in the postseason because he was hurt their Super Bowl run. He was hurt after that when he went down after going 5 and 6 and 11 starts. So the reality is that when it comes to the city of Philadelphia, the Eagles are everything, plus a bag of chips. And if they got to sit up there and say, excuse me, Embiid or Carson Wentz, concern, they're like, who? Wait, come talk to us about him in May. Carson Wentz matters all year long.
All right.
To the Eagles fans.
So you guys are very educated. That's why I enjoy watching this show. Are we talking about the health per the individual or per the impact on the team? Just clarify that for me, Will Kane. Are we talking about the individual?
That's a good question, Marcus, because I didn't know. I'm thinking the city. My thinking was Philadelphia and what matters.
That's what jumped out to me.
Carson Wentz or Joel Embiid. That's what I was
talking about per the.
How about this? Since I'm sitting in the judge's seat.
Yeah, you do that.
Per the individual. Which individual's health concerns are you more concerned about?
Oh, yeah, Joel Embiid then. Because he's had more, and the game that he plays with what has happened to him body-wise is far more concerning than what it is with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz we've seen quarterbacks play with injuries that are significant that you couldn't even take the floor in basketball with, right? So Joel Embiid from that standpoint. But with what Stephen A. was saying, what I thought the story, what it was about, was the impact it would have on each individual franchise. It's not even close as Carson Wentz. It's not even in the same conversation. If Carson Wentz's health per his team is so much more important than Joel Embiid's
How can
health.
you say that when they won a Super Bowl without him?
Because it's the most important. First of all, I can say that because the quarterback that won plays for Jacksonville now. That's number one.
That's a fair point to what Max said earlier.
Yep. And number two is the most important. Nobody can ever dispute me in my feeling that that's the most important position in any sport in the world.
But they won it all.
You can talk about a goalie in hockey, but we're talking about major sports in this country. Look, actually, you run more plays. Really, the impact of a singular star player in basketball is arguably bigger even than a quarterback. That's one. Two, Stephen A., I think you make a great point about where Philadelphia's heart is. But I won't even say that you're wrong or dispute you on that point, because you're saying, Max, you're being slick. You make a common denominator, sports, and then you try to pretend that because he's more, that it's all the same. It's not the same. Football's elevated in Philly. I'll give you that. But to Will's point just now that I made earlier, they won a Super Bowl with Carson Wentz not on the field. They then made a valiant effort at a Super Bowl title defense last year without Carson Wentz on the field. Now, Nick Foles is not there. That is true. It is a rare thing to find a backup like that, but he's still on his rookie deal, Carson Wentz, which means if the Eagles need to, they can go bring in an expensive veteran backup.
But you want me to tell you the point I think both you and Marcus are missing? Y'all look at the fact that they won a Super Bowl without Carson Wentz as a plus for Carson Wentz because it dilutes or minimizes to some degree the pressure in terms of health or what have you. I'm saying because they won the Super Bowl without him and Nick Foles is gone, basically the Philadelphia Eagles made a choice. You got to remember, Marcus, you know this.
It's a good argument.
Most half the dudes on the team wanted Nick Foles to stay. They wanted Carson Wentz gone. Now, the other half did. They all got love for both of them. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is Nick Foles had a lot of fans inside that locker room. But Carson Wentz is younger. Carson Wentz is considered more talented. And if healthy, the belief is he can do for you for years to come what Nick Foles did to you.
I got to ask Marcus a question really quickly because this one's going to call back a few years here on First Take. Obviously, if we're dealing with this as individuals, it's Joel Embiid because we all use the word here, chronic. But you know, listen, these two, Stephen A. and Max, you got to watch them because they're slick, and I pay attention.
That's why I had to ask the question.
I know that, and you know what? My memory is long like a mule. I go back years, and I heard these guys talking up Tony Romo's injuries, this and that, and I said, look, man, they're not connected. So here's my genuine question to you: Carson Wentz had a wrist in college, he had a knee in the pros, he had a back in the pros. They're all unrelated. So are we worried about Carson Wentz being injury prone?
Yeah, I mean, look, the history tells you if you worry about being injury prone. But we also talking about a different sport. We're talking about football. Most of these issues come from hits. Like that, that's the difference.
Okay,
right?
that's a great question, but he's out of the pocket a lot. Like a quarterback can decide not to play out of the pocket as much, and then he's not hurt as much.
But Max,
Embiid can't make a choice about this.
That's my point. Here's the concerning factor, right? First of all, how many backups have won a Super Bowl? That's number one. Like how many guys legitimately came in? And number two is the year they won that Super Bowl.
Brady.
Guess who got them to that point in order for them to have a chance to win a Super Bowl? It was Carson Wentz.